Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. Today we're on the Tears of the Desert map. It's known amongst the community as the Tears of the Cruisers map, but even though I keep saying that, I've never really explained why it is, and it can basically be summed up as this. The islands on this map, in most cases, purely exist to lull cruisers into a false sense of security, thinking they can hide behind them and go stationary. With very few exceptions, this is not correct, because while you can go undetected behind a lot of these islands, if you get spotted from any angle, the islands themselves are not actually high enough to provide any kind of cover. And any battleship or heavy cruiser or anything 10 kilometers or more away can lob shells over it, straight into your crunchy on the outside, chewy on the inside citadel. Most of these islands are basically just cruiser traps designed to troll cruisers into thinking they can successfully take cover behind them, go stationary and rain down high explosive death and destruction on their enemies. You can't. Of course, your other option is just sticking to open water, which is worse. Hence Tears of the Cruisers. Now, Trenlass here, for it is none other than he, is of course in a cruiser. He's in HMS Minotaur, which is extremely crunchy on the outside and chewy on the inside. Even worse, he's in a radar Minotaur. He doesn't even have the benefit of a smokescreen to hide in. He does like living dangerously. On the bright side, there are at least no aircraft carriers in this particular battle, although each team does have 2 submarines. And of course, because he's in a Minotaur, he can't exactly hide behind anything and rain down high explosive death and destruction on his enemies, because the Minotaur doesn't get high explosive ammunition. Its armour piercing is fairly spicy though, and it is compensated for by having improved penetration angles. But he is still in an extremely squishy cruiser on a map that is known for punishing cruisers. Speaking of cruisers, Belfast 43. The inferior version of the Belfast, because the original version is just too good and there's no way Wargaming could possibly justify putting that thing on sale again, so they nerfed it, called it the Belfast 43, and I mean, it's not a terrible ship, it's not bad, but it basically exists just to troll people into thinking that they're getting the actual Belfast when you're not. Oh, he's going to have a hard time getting through this gap, because he is, of course, spotted. No, he's managed to go undetected. Okay, so he should actually be able to survive. And the Belfast's gone down. I'm not quite sure what he thought he was going to achieve there. Doesn't he know what map he's on? But yes, he's able to bridge the potentially lethal gap between these 2 islands. Now this is exactly the sort of thing that I'm talking about here with this map. Generally when you get a cruiser up to this position, you can actually start shooting at anything through that gap without being spotted, but somebody's got him spotted. Yep, it's the Low Yang, but he's been counter-spotted in return, so he's Billy Big stepping out of there, which means Trenlass only has to worry about the Tier 10 American light cruiser, the Worcester, and that thing has some serious high explosive firepower, which could do massive amounts of damage to a squishy cruiser like the Minotaur, except he's not even shooting at Trenlass. I mean, he's exposing all of the broadside, so Trenlass's 6-inch armor piercing is basically wrecking him. No, he's shooting at the Bismarck next to him instead, which is a bold choice, but you know, never interrupt the enemy when they're making a mistake and all that. Trenlass is a little too close to that island. He's going to have to back up in order to get the shells lobbed over and try to get that Worcester finished off. I mean, it looks like his rear turrets are able to... Okay, he's far enough away now. This should be a kill. There's no way the Worcester's getting out of there alive. Either Trenlass is going to get him, or the Bismarck's secondaries will, and it's Trenlass. That's his first kill. The team's 2nd kill. They're not doing too well for cap circles, however. Now he's gone undetected for a second, mostly thanks to the smokescreen that the Low Yang left behind. He is of course now spotted. Once again, however, we encounter an enemy ship who's got better things to do than shoot at the extremely squishy light cruiser. Yeah, he's shooting at the Bismarck as well. You see how dangerous this spot is? And this is one of the spots on this map that cruisers love to head to when they start from the southern end. Giuseppe Verde, of course, is not alone. Did you see the torpedoes? Did you see the sonar ping coming from the far side of the smoke screen? Did you see the other torpedo? Yeah, there's a submarine. If it wasn't for the Low Yang dropping this very convenient smoke screen when he bugged out, Trenlass would have been spotted by that submarine at periscope depth this entire time. And now he is once again detected, smokescreen or no, which probably means that the submarine is still at periscope depth and it's within about 4 or 5 kilometres. Although he's gone undetected now, which means the submarine's probably dived. The team have just suffered their first casualty. The Frederick the Great has gone down. And then, and I'm not quite sure how he managed to arrange for this to happen, but the Lo Yang gets himself spotted after Trenlass's radar has expired. I mean, it shouldn't come as any surprise to him that there's a Minotaur inside this smokescreen, because he was spotted, possibly by the Lo Yang himself, maybe not the submarine at periscope depth, but the submarine is still out there, and the Smolensk punishes the Lo Yang for that mistake. It's scary how quickly ships like Minotaurs and Smolensks can punish destroyers for making mistakes. And speaking of destroyers that make mistakes, the friendly Benson just got gunned down by the Giuseppe Verdi's secondaries. The Benson, by the way, was the guy who dropped that smokescreen. Why did he leave the smokescreen? Your guess is as good as mine. And just in case there was any doubt as to whether or not that submarine was still lurking around, Trenlass has been pinged. Which isn't ideal, but a much bigger problem is the presence of a Napoli, who actually knows what to do when a light cruiser's been spotted. Now, he was angled against that incoming armour piercing, but the armour on the Minotaur is so bad, it doesn't really make an awful lot of difference. He's in a really tough spot now. He's just narrowly managed to dodge those torpedoes. His engine's been knocked out. I mean, cruiser captains do have access to the last stand skill, but he doesn't really want to go anywhere here. He's got a submarine behind him, he's got that Roma in front of him, and he's got a Napoli basically at point blank range right on the other side of an island to his immediate right. And it's here where the Napoli makes a critical error of judgment. The Napoli, as an Italian cruiser, has access to the exhaust smoke generator, or the high-speed smoke as we like to call it. Now, it doesn't make you invisible. If you fire your guns and there's an enemy ship within your smoke detection range, they're still going to see you. Similarly, if Trenlass were to fire his guns at this range, even though the Napoli is practically begging for it, he would get spotted in return, which is why he's not firing his guns, and he's letting his torpedoes do the talking. Honestly, once again, I've got nothing here. I mean, it's not like the Napoli didn't know he was there. And unless the Napoli player was extremely new, and, well, it's possible, the Napoli is a premium ship, he might have just bought it today, but it's difficult to see how the Napoli could not have known that the Minotaur has torpedoes. Very, very good torpedoes, actually, and a lot of them. 8 on each side. Well, he knows now. You can learn the hard way or you can learn the easy way. But at some point, you're going to learn. Okay, the Roma's been taken care of. It's now safe to venture out. Well, I say safe. It's rarely actually safe to venture out from behind the cover of an island when you're in a Minotaur, especially a Minotaur that doesn't have a smokescreen. At this point of the battle, though, with only 5 enemies left, he's probably counting on, well, a couple of things. One, the enemy team just being overwhelmed and having too many targets to shoot at to choose from. Even though people do generally switch to light cruisers when they're spotted because they're significantly easier to hit than destroyers, and unlike destroyers, they have citadels. But even though Trenlass is in open water here, that Frederick the Great over there, who's currently, not really enjoying the situation that he finds himself in, is the only one who's actually within spotting range of Trenlass, and he can't see him because there's an island in the way. So this is 100% risk-free. Although not anymore. Enemy submarine. Okay, finish off the Frederick the Great. At the moment, the submarine can't launch torpedoes at you because it's sideways on. And, oh, he's not dead yet. Oh, he's trying to recover health. Alright, finish him. Make sure he goes down. Somebody else has the submarine engaged. And again, you're quite safe because the Frederick the Great has other problems and the submarine doesn't actually have a firing angle at you. And, there's the Colbert has taken him out, so that was nice. And there's the high caliber award, and there's the 3rd kill. He's really only gotten his 3rd kill. Wow. Oh, well, he's about to flip this cap circle. So thank you to the Colbert for taking care of the submarine threat. The team have just lost a submarine of their own, but, well, there's only 3 enemies left. I don't think there's much danger that they're going to lose. Note the radio location marker is actually pointing directly behind him. That will be the other enemy submarine. And the marker's now just flipped ahead. It's pointing towards the Moskva, which is slightly more than 19 kilometres away. So he now knows, even if he wasn't looking at the mini-map, and somebody's flipping the cap circle at Charlie, that that submarine behind him is at least 20 kilometres away. And therefore no threat whatsoever. Doesn't have to worry about it. The submarine's somebody else's problem. Looks like the friendly submarine's going for it, even if nobody else is. Speaking of ships with problems, the friendly Frederick the Great has taken on the Moskva and the Adatara, who are both right now outside of Trenlass's shooting range. And the Frederick the Great does not look like he's doing particularly well. Oh, yeah, one more solid hit from either of those two guys. Trenlass is still, he's only just now in range. I mean, he's got a good target to shoot at there. But the second that Frederick the Great goes down, you have to count on both of these guys, the Moskva and the Adatara, and the Frederick the Great has gone down. Those two ships, both with extremely large guns that can pretty much overmatch a Minotaur everywhere, and a lot of armour, are going to switch to the light cruiser. But they don't. Well, the Moskva does. His rear turret just fired, and it is coming this way. But the Adatara, instead of shooting at the light cruiser spotted in open water, is instead focused on you can't quite see him here, but if you look at the minimap, there is another friendly battleship, the Giuseppe Verde, just off to Trenlass's right. It's bow in as well. It's not even giving a nice big fat juicy broadside for the Adatara to shoot at, but the Adatara is shooting at the Giuseppe Verde instead of the light cruiser spotted in open. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I've got no idea what the Adatara's like. Maybe its guns are just really, really bad and it's shooting at the target that it stands the best chance of hitting. But that's not Trenlass. It's his fourth kill on the Moskva. Okay, the Adatara is now shooting at him. He's got his torpedoes away, but his team are at 960 points with all three of the cap circles. No sign of the enemy submarine. He's been chased out of the cap circle at Charlie. Those torpedoes are never going to get there in time. But the 152mm armour piercing might. 990 points, 10 points away from winning on points. He scores the final kill, ends the match only slightly prematurely, and earns the Kraken Unleashed. 226,000 damage done for Trenlass on the Tears of the Cruisers map in a light cruiser that he deliberately chose to enter battle without the benefit of a smokescreen. Nearly 3,000 base XP though. I don't know, maybe he's onto something. Seriously, don't try this at home, kids. Unless you're really good and you know what you're doing, Smoke Minotaur is by far the safer option. But if you want to see more crazy hijinks just like this, I'll put a link in the description to Trenlass's Twitch channel. And I hope you enjoyed watching him perform for us today, because that's all I've got. Hope you enjoyed it, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.